welcome to Devil's Advocate and what we're calling an off-the-cuff episode.
Off the cuff.
Off the cuff. I'm Ben. I'm joined by Sean, as always.
Hello.
I understand I wasn't here for the last one and it was crap.
That was a while ago, wasn't it? Was that the last one? I thought we did one since then.
Oh, maybe. I wasn't here for one of them and it was crap.
Yeah, we did Dictators. We did Dictators
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so we did.
With Mike.
Yeah. Well, either way, I'm saying the one I wasn't here for was crap.
Mike's just listened to you better not be on about the episode I did with him.
No, Dodgy Dictators is out.
Yeah, that's a good one, that is.
That is.
Yeah.
So I thought, we thought we'd have a chat about what's been happening over the last couple of weeks. Where should we start? Lockdown?
I don't know, we need 5 hours to talk about what's happened for the past couple of weeks.
Let's start with the UK lockdown.
Yeah.
All right, so we are in lockdown again, 4 to 6 weeks, I've heard. Meant to be, it's officially 4, probably going to end up with 6.
Boris promised, didn't he? He said, I promise we'll be out on the 2nd, so that means 6 weeks.
Yeah, but Boris promises a lot of things.
Yeah, that means 6 weeks because he flip-flops every 5 seconds.
I mean, they've U-turned on the school dinners now.
Yeah, that's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. That's one thing I'm glad he did flip-flop on.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, we're not doing it. All right, then. Because it's no way to run a government.
He breaks under pressure, doesn't he?
He does.
He can't handle the pressure. I mean, that's good for some things, like the school dinners, because so many people applied pressure on him. But it's not good when he's like, oh yeah, we're not doing this because it'll break the economy because we wouldn't be able to recover from this. And he's like, it's the best thing to do. So you've just told us it would break us. Now I have no faith in you.
There's no faith in that floppy head moron anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's like, it'll break us, but if we don't do it, we're going to die. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to be poor, have no home, and I'm going to die. Thanks, Boris.
He doesn't care about you.
No, he doesn't.
You can have your own business, buy your own home. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're shut now.
You're shut now because you're going to die.
Because you're all going to get COVID and die.
Yeah.
But
why wasn't he so worried about that a month ago then, when everyone was asking him to close?
Yeah, because I mean, in the UK, it's like the opposition leader, Keir Starmer of the Labour Party, said, look, how about when the kids are off in October on their half-term holidays, why don't we just shut the country down for 2 weeks?
Yeah. See, I understood the argument against that of closing it down for 2 weeks wouldn't be enough because it takes about 2 weeks for it to start taking effect, apparently, if you believe the COVID sort of lockdown science behind it. It takes 2 weeks for the numbers to start changing. So why didn't they just extend it to 3 weeks or maybe 4 during that time?
Yeah, so at least the kids are only missing a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because what we have in place now is the kids are going to school.
Yep.
I'm going to work.
Yeah.
The only thing that's shut is the pubs.
Yeah. For most companies or businesses, such as the pub, this is the sort of hardest time.
Yeah.
And they've closed. So basically, it's just going to put everyone out of business. All these small businesses are just going to be completely crippled after this.
Well, that's it.
Because it's their kind of their time when they have the mad rush leading up to Christmas. And then December's quiet. January starts picking up. They got the new year. People start getting paid. It's good again. But they needed that sort of month to kind of get as much business in as possible. I mean, pubs and restaurants are really busy in November. It kind of quietens down. You have your Christmas meals and stuff. But,
yeah, but think of all the places that do Christmas parties.
Yeah, they're not going to make any money.
I mean, we have a Christmas party at work.
Yeah.
I very much doubt that's going to. I mean,
even if
it's
it's open, you're not going to be able to have it because it'll go back to the rule of 6 or something. Or is it Wales or Scotland are doing a rule of 4 now or something? Which one didn't lock down? I can't remember.
Scotland?
Yeah.
Wales went on a circuit break, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm sure one of them's doing a rule of 4 now.
I feel kind of sorry for Wales because they were doing really, really well. And then England came out of lockdown before Wales. Wales were like, nah. We're going to stay in it for a couple more weeks, break its fucking back completely. And loads of English tourists just turned up to the beach on the summer days and just fucking reinfected Wales with coronavirus.
Yeah, that's the thing though, isn't it? For people listening, the British are very stubborn. We'll do what we want to do, won't we?
Yeah.
If we want to go on holiday, we want to get some sun, or we want to go to the beach, we'll go. And there's no stopping us. That's what's happening at the moment because they've locked everywhere down. Everyone's going to beaches or markets and stuff. Apparently, there's markets still open somewhere.
Yeah, the market in the high street was open on Friday.
Yeah, because it's outside.
Because it's outside. I mean, okay, in our town, there's in Dorley, there's like 4 stores, but that's not the point.
Support your local businesses. I am one, so.
there's the meat van.
Yeah.
The egg lady.
Hey, the egg lady sounds like she does a good job.
She does, actually.
Yeah.
A very high percentage of double yolkers in them eggs.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
I think there might have been a clothes stand.
Yeah.
And some hardware guy.
Yeah.
And maybe the fruit and veg lady. So like 5 stands.
Still.
And that's it. But the pubs are shut.
Yeah.
So whatever, the whole point of having a market is to get trade back into the high street.
Yeah.
But everything's shut apart from the supermarket.
Yeah.
And the market stalls. And I mean, even the hairdressers are shut.
Yeah. This is the thing that's ridiculous, though, is they say stuff like, oh, we need to lock down to protect people and stuff like that. But they still let you order fast food.
Yep.
Every fast food chain is still pretty much open if they can deliver.
Yeah. Even the chip shops doing delivery, pardon me.
Yeah. And if you go to, say, for us, it's Asda or Tesco. If you go to Asda or Tesco, you can easily grab alcohol.
Yep.
But they don't.
I just did.
Yeah. But they don't like you going for non-essentials. In certain towns and cities, was it Wales or Scotland again? There was one woman, she needed some, she was on a period and she needed some sanitary tiles, and they wouldn't let her. They said it was non-essential.
Well, it's not essential for them, but I mean, it's pretty essential for her.
I know. Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, then I'm just going to drip all over your floor.
After food and
Take my menstrual blood and start flicking it at people.
No. God, I'm glad you're not a woman.
Yeah, so am I, actually.
After food and water, it doesn't get much more essential than that, does it?
No.
So, like, certain places, you can't buy clothing from anywhere.
No, that's true. Yeah, you can't. Some places you can't buy clothing. Clothes shops are shut.
Yeah, even in places like say your Asda that has clothing sections, in certain areas that they're blocking it off.
Yeah,
calling it non-essential.
Just if it's already in the shop.
Yeah.
What's it matter?
Oh, because you're touching it, so you're spreading the virus.
Well, get people not to fucking touch. But they were doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Before we had Corona. We've got all sorts of grotty fuckers in this town. They're sneezing on their hands. They're coughing over the clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I got the bus the other day.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to take my money.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've got cash. Oh. And then they made a great show of getting this little plastic trowel to take my money. It's like, I'm like, what did you think money was carrying before?
Yeah, it's covered in germs.
It's covered in germs and drugs.
Yeah.
Every banknote you have, I think it's like, I think at least 80% of banknotes, that could be a completely spurious fact.
Yeah.
But I've heard somewhere, right, 80% of banknotes have got cocaine on them.
Yeah, I've heard something like that. Most of them have got drugs on them.
What do they think was on the money before?
I wonder if that's true, though, with the newly printed money.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know.
Do you think it'd be harder to snort cocaine with those sort of plastic £10 notes?
I don't know. Let's give it a go. I've got some cocaine and a £10 note.
Let's give it a go.
Oh, no, it's really chafing my nostril, actually.
But
it's not soft.
The thing is, just before the lockdown happened, is I don't know if you remember, but I bought some jumpers, didn't I?
You did?
I got some jumpers.
You went to a fashionable shop and bought some clothes.
I did. But I got told off for trying a jumper on. I knew you weren't allowed to try things on, but I figured if I try one on, I'll know if they all fit. The size will fit. And I had a quick look around and didn't see any of the staff, so I figured I'll quickly put it on and then take it off. I was pretty much...
Were you getting your gains out in public?
No, I wasn't.
Was it just an excuse for you to go shirtless in a shop?
Like, oh, no.
No, I need to try this on.
As I pull this jumper off, my shirt's coming off too.
I appear to be tensing.
Where did this oil come from? Start lathering myself in oil.
Wait, is that lavender? How you smell?
Lavender oil. And wait a sec, why do you look more tanned? The oil has fake tan in it. But yeah, I tried it on, and I was like 90% sure it was going to fit anyway. But just as I was taking it off, this woman comes over and she works there, and she's like, "Oh, you can't try things on. You can't try things on." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, I won't do it again." And I was like, "I'm going to buy it anyway." And she was like, "Oh, well, if you don't, just take it over there." And I was like, "What are they going to do? Put it in decontamination?
Burn it?"
But the crazy thing is, this is what I couldn't get about this rule, was when I was walking around and looking at stuff, and other people looking at stuff, they were picking stuff up, putting it down, touching it. Everyone there, they all had their masks on, but they were all touching it.
Yeah.
So if any of them touched something, and then I touched it, and then later on I take my mask off, the virus would be all over my hands.
All over your mask.
Yeah, unless I basically washed my hands before I went into my house. There's nothing I could have done. It would have been on the door handles, would have been everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's basically impossible to avoid it. And they're like, oh, well, you can touch the item or you can't touch the item. I don't know what the ruling was on that, but everyone else was touching it. But you can't put it on your chest.
Well, it's a known fact that corona transmits through the skin now.
Yeah, it's not sat in my hands, it's sat on my chest.
Yep.
Well, surely you can touch it because you would have to pick it up to take it to the till. So
No, you get a special grabbing stick.
Did I miss that?
When you go in the shop, they give you a grabbing stick.
It's like one of those.
That's been sanitized.
It's like one of those things, those things.
Letter picker.
Yeah.
So as you go, oh, get me grabby stick.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks like it'll fit me. And you sort of, okay, yeah.
Does it have to be 6 foot long so that I don't catch the Rona from the clothing?
Yes.
But how ridiculous is that? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like I'm more likely to catch it from touching the item because somebody else has touched it than me putting it on and then somebody touching it. It transmits on the hands. It doesn't really transmit off your body.
You're more likely to catch it off your nephews who are still going to school.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean, I've been to work.
Yeah.
They've called in people who've had childcare issues. Oh, you can do 6 till 10.
Yeah.
Right? So they're kind of getting a bit of work out of them rather than sitting at home on furlough.
Yeah.
And he said, well, their kids have been at school all day.
Yeah.
Then they're coming into here. Social distancing is virtually impossible where I work.
It is in a lot of places.
Especially
factories.
Yeah. In a warehouse when, people are constantly crossing over on the line or coming up behind you. It's virtually impossible to social distance. And he's like, well, but she's just had her kids at school all day.
Yeah.
And now she's coming here. And no one who's got an underlying health condition has been shielded.
They started testing your temperatures when you go in.
No.
They haven't even started doing that.
No.
So she could be ill and she just passes it on to everyone.
She could be asymptomatic and just passes it on to the old guy that's fucking had throat cancer a few years ago.
Yeah, and then he gets really ill.
And then he's like struggling there.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? It doesn't. For most people, they don't even show symptoms. But then for the elderly or your sickly, they get really ill. So she, like you said, because most kids don't show symptoms, it could travel through all the kids and then all the parents, and then all those parents are going to work, and it's passing like wildfire. That's the thing that frustrates me about this lockdown. It's like they were like, we need to get the numbers down so we can protect lives, so people don't die. It's like, if that were true, you would instill the things you instilled in the first lockdown.
Yeah.
So where is the school shutdowns? Because as we know, viruses of any kind travel like wildfire in schools.
Yeah.
Because kids do not wash their hands, they touch everything, and especially
if they're teenagers, they'll touch each other.
Yeah, and if they're teenagers, they break that personal bubble all the time. They're all over each other because they're horny because of all the hormones. So that's going to spread like wildfire. And then because we don't have the shielding, because he refused to put that on again.
Yeah. So
all these kids are just going to pass it to their sickly parents, their sickly grandparents.
Yeah.
If you're a parent and you're forced to go to work because you can't, because you I don't know, you weren't on furlough because you're healthy, that's fine. But your 10-year-old kid's just come back. Who are you going to leave him with? His grandparents.
He's going to go and stop with Nan and Granddad for a couple of hours until I finish work.
Yeah.
And who knows what's wrong with them?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Either do it or don't do it.
Yeah. Either put them on shielding. And this is the problem that I've been saying since the beginning of the lockdown. I got what he was saying about the economy recently, and the reason why I refused to lock down, because I knew we'd run out of money. And I said at the beginning, we could fund indefinite furlough for everyone that needed a shield from the beginning. Why didn't we do that? Everyone that is sickly, ill, or vulnerable, or anything like that, or old, put them on indefinite furlough. If you live with someone like that, put them on optional furlough if they want to go on it for as long as they want to go on it. And then everyone else just keeps going. We wouldn't have like went capacity with hospitals. I don't even think we're doing that now. I think we have 7 Nightingale hospitals just sat there doing nothing.
Yeah, I think they closed a couple and then they reopened them again. That's actually the only thing the government's got right during this is the Nightingale hospitals.
Yeah, they built them just in case.
Well, they just go. Yeah, they didn't build. They just sort of like the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
In Birmingham, for example.
Yeah.
Was turned into a Nightingale hospital.
Yeah.
You can fit like a few hundred beds in there.
Yeah.
Jobs are good.
Yeah.
So but that was like one of the few things they did right.
Yeah.
The rest of it's just been like a half-hearted.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Pretty much like Boris's prime ministership.
Yeah,
Half-hearted.
It was an absolute. See, this was the thing as well. Like, not only did he promise not to do another lockdown, but also my understanding was that we were going down into this sort of way of thinking so that we could slow down the infection rate to give them time to prepare for if there was a high spike again.
Yeah, this so-called second wave.
Yeah, so find a vaccine, which is magically appeared apparently this week. We'll talk about that later, though. That magically appeared out of nowhere. But give us time to find that, to work on that. But until then, work on things that will help treat it to improve the survival rate, get people to recover quicker so there's space for new hospital beds. Give us time to build ventilators and give us time to build more sort of temporary hospitals. We did all that. So why lock down again? We have all these things in place.
Well, that's just it. I mean, and the thing was, we're not going to lockdown because when it was suggested in October, in the beginning of October, no, that's it. We're not going to do it again. Yeah, you're a fool for saying that.
It'll cripple us. We'll never be able to recover from it. Yeah, he was calling Keir a fool, basically.
Yeah, calling Keir Starmer, oh, terrible, you're a fool. We don't want to do that again. We're not doing that again. We'll ruin the economy.
Yeah.
And then a month later, we're going to save Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas is under threat. Oh, just let fucking people do it.
Yeah. Plus, Christmas is this is the crazy thing. Christmas is a threat. He's on about doing this for 4 to 6 weeks. That means we're going to have what, a week or two before Christmas?
Yeah.
Does that give us a week? How much in a Christmas spirit can you get in a week?
People get in the Christmas spirit anyway.
Yeah, but the average person. But the thing is parents were like, oh crap, I need to buy as much stuff as I can as quickly as possible before the shops close to get the presents.
Yeah.
It was mad. There were a couple of days before lockdown when people, when it leaked.
Oh, yeah.
They went mad. They were in town buying, I think that was the week I went shopping actually for my jumpers. They were all panicking. And they were like, we need to buy as much stuff as possible. Things were like being pulled off the shelves and stuff because they knew they were going to lock down and most of these stores were going to close. So what were they going to give their kids on Christmas morning if the lockdown is extended?
Well, these people never heard of Amazon.
Yeah, well, a lot of people probably did do that. But some people like to shop in person.
They do. My dad does. He'd be like, no, I can't see what it looks like. I can't feel the material online.
Stuff like kids' clothes as well. You like to go there and make sure it fits so you can hold it up against your kid and be like, yeah, that looks like it'll fit and stuff like that.
That looks like it'll fit him for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
You'll grow into it.
Basically, yeah.
But Daddy, the T-shirt's down to my ankles. You'll grow into it.
I keep tripping over it.
And you'll learn not to, child.
So yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So nobody's going to get into a Christmas spirit, and he's not guaranteeing we're going to save Christmas. They're already talking about. I read this was on social media, and I've learned over the past sort of couple of months not to believe everything on social media. But it was one of the news outlets, and they were on about talking. If we do have a complete Christmas, like going to see as many family members as we want, if we opt to do that, we'll have to basically quarantine ourselves for 2 weeks after Christmas.
Quarantine for 2 weeks, you say?
But the thing is, my worrying thing is how do you prove that? How do you prove that people did or didn't? So either you spy on them by
they're spying on us anyway.
Yeah, but you force them all to download that app before they're allowed to do anything.
I was thinking about downloading that app just in case I bumped into someone who got COVID and I get a message saying I've got to self-isolate again.
So you can have another 2 weeks.
Yeah. The guy at work's been off for a month.
Seriously.
Yeah, his mom got it.
Yeah.
So we had to self-isolate.
Yeah.
And then because he was using the app, the old track and trace.
Yeah.
He must have been in somewhere where there was a confirmed case, and they sent him a message saying self-isolate for 2 weeks. He's had a month off, and you with pay.
Was he about with his mom? Does he live with his mom?
I have no idea. I don't know the circumstances, but it must be in his bubble.
Why doesn't your work just ask him to have an antibody test?
They're not going to do that. They're not even taking our temperature.
Just paying him to be off for like a month.
Literally, when I turned around, when I went back in September after the first lockdown and furlough, I'd been called back, and I said, "So, you taking temperatures?"
Yeah.
No. I'm like, "Why not?" And they're like, "Well, now I know why it is, and I'll tell you why in a second."
It's probably because they want you to keep working even if you're ill.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. But it's like, oh well, we did a thing and then they're not very accurate. I'm like, well, the doctors are doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
At my stepdad's factory, you have to go in through like an airport thing, put your wrist against it,
Yeah.
takes your temperature. If you're too high, they send you in a room for 15 minutes. Sit in there for 15 minutes, come back and test it again in a minute.
Yeah.
All they're worried about is people turning up with a high temperature and having to go home.
Yeah.
Profit over people.
Yeah.
If it is as dangerous, they say, which it isn't.
No.
Unless you've got an underlying health condition.
Yeah.
In which case, why are you at work?
Yeah. You shouldn't be made to go to work. They should have done the indefinite furlough.
Yeah.
Which I'd said at the beginning. I said that all the way in March, didn't I?
Yeah.
I said there is no way, because literally I remember we were sat and we were talking about it. This is when it like the first week and no, second week, because they extended it because they were only going to do 2 weeks, didn't they? And they extended it to a month. And then all of a sudden they said they were going to do the full 3. Because I was in denial for the first 2 weeks. I was just like, right, I'll just take this as holiday. And then after that, I'll get straight back on it. And then it came to 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, we're going to extend it for another 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll take this 2 weeks as holiday. And then I'll get right back on it. And then literally they were like, yeah, we're going to do this for another 2 months. We're going to go the full 3 and really get this sorted. And I was just like, this is never going to end. This is never going to end. And my whole world just fell apart at that point.
See, we had very different reactions to the original.
Yeah, you
lockdown.
loved it. You loved it.
It was just like, wait, so they're going to pay me not to go to work?
Yeah.
And it's 30 degrees outside, which doesn't sound a lot for some listeners, but 30 degrees
In England.
Yeah. You know, in March, April, June is like, oh my God, that is phenomenal.
Even you got a tan and you usually just go red.
Yeah, I got a tan and I just usually turn into a pile of ash.
Yeah. But yeah, your tan was pretty good at one point, actually.
And it's like,
I was like a golden god.
Well, you are like one. I am one.
Like the sun gleamed off of me, it reflected.
Because you kept on oiling yourself up at every opportunity.
Yeah,
But it's like the evolution of our garden furniture went from strength to strength.
I know, yeah, just kept getting better and better,
It's
didn't
like,
I?
started off with a camping chair.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we're going to get a table and chairs. You were like, oh, awesome, somewhere to put my beer.
Yeah, that was the main thing.
Yeah.
I was using a bucket before.
Yeah. And by the end of it, it was like, oh, wow, we have full on, what's it, rattan furniture?
Rattan, yeah.
And you were like, oh, sweet, we have a sofa outside. That was it. You didn't move for 2 weeks after we got that, did you?
No. Spent a lot of time in the garden getting
First
really drunk.
2 weeks of lockdown, you were training with me every day. And then as the furniture got better and the weather got better, I saw you less and less. And the recycle bin just filled more and more with beer cans.
This shop had a great offer on.
Yeah, with like beer that was almost 2 years out of date.
It didn't do me any harm.
I don't know. Sounded like it did at one point.
I used to tell the listeners, I went to the shop, 8 cans of 5% lager, £5. You can't moan at that.
It was like a year or two out of date.
Wasn't until a few sessions on those later.
I had a look at it because I said, well, why are they so cheap? And you said, I don't know. And I turned the can upside down and the date was like 2018.
But it didn't do me any harm.
I don't know. You woke up the one day and you had to go back to bed and you slept all day.
That was what I was usually doing.
You said you were really rough.
Yeah, but you slept all day after rum day.
Yeah, because I was really rough. But you didn't drink that many. You only had like 8 cans, which was like a light day for you.
I can only assume that the residual alcohol had kicked in.
No, it's because you drank that shit every day for a week. And it was slowly killing you. And the only reason why you survived is the shop ran out.
Yeah, they
Otherwise,
did.
you would have kept buying it.
Yeah. That was a depressing thing. I was like, oh man, how much more of this you got? And he's like, oh, I've only got another couple of packs.
I remember.
I had a full pallet at the start of March.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't buy a full pallet, did I?
I remember you coming back like disappointed. I was like, good, you won't die. That's good. And you were like, yeah, but it was a bargain. I was like, yeah, but you would die.
I thought you, of all people, would appreciate the bargain.
Oh, I do. My cheapness did go, oh, bargain. But then I was like, but why? And I looked under the can.
But I'm the original one-stop shopper. I'm like, oh, that's cheap. I'll have that.
Yeah. But yeah, to get back to my point, we were sat down in the chairs, and I remember us talking about this. And you were happy because you were like, yes, I get 2 weeks off, fully paid. And then it went to a month, and you were like, yes, I got a full month off, fully paid.
Sending me a letter every month.
Yeah,
do you want to be off for another month? Yes, I do.
But in that first sort of 2-3 week mark, we just sat there talking. I was just like, they're not going to be able to afford this. Where's the money going to come from? And I don't think you cared where the money was coming from.
As long as give a shit.
Yeah. But this is when I started reading up on economics, politics, and all that. Kind of probably annoyed the shit out of you for like 3 months. But
I just switched off for a lot of it.
You're like, that's why I was drunk for 3 months.
Yeah. I blame you for my alcoholism.
I was waiting for that. But yeah, I was like, where are they going to find the money from this? And the simple answer is they weren't. And now we're fucked for the next, like, probably 5 or 10 years. We're going to be paying for COVID in ridiculous taxes. And they're not going to tax the rich because they never do. It'll be the middle class and it'll be the working class. And we'll pay more than we got out of them. And what a lot of us got out of them, especially the self-employed, myself and others, got absolutely fucked during this. Absolutely fucked on help. I'm glad we got help. It was better than nothing, but we got fucked on it. But a lot of us couldn't. If you hadn't worked 3 years, you were fucked.
Yeah.
They just left. They left. I think it was like they made these stats might be wrong, but I'm sure I read somewhere there was 5 million people self-employed, and something like 1.2 million were just left in the dark because they hadn't had their business for 3 years.
Yeah.
You didn't have 3 years worth of tax returns. They just said, "Oh, we can't help you." So all these new businesses starting out, and I remember how hard it was starting out. You don't have a lot of money, and you are living month to month, and they're just like, "Oh well, you I don't know, we can't help you. You're fucked."
Yeah. Get on the universal credit, sunshine.
Yeah, basically that was your choice: universal credit or get a job in like Aldi or something, because they were crying out, weren't they?
Yeah. My stepsister Nat was working like 50 hours a week.
Yeah. I mean,
every week.
If you worked for Aldi, you did great. I mean, it was probably stressful, and I heard from some of the Aldi staff that posted on Facebook and stuff, they were treated like shit. So yeah, treat people that work in those sort of professions nicely. It's not cool to treat them like shit.
Unless they, ran out of that really cheap lager.
And then treat them like shit.
Treat them like shit.
No. Just run at the side and just start shoving everything off the shelves.
Yeah. Then I throw a tantrum on the floor.
Just start running through the cereal aisle with your arms out.
Oh, yeah. I've always wanted a supermarket sweep the fuck out of Aldi.
But yeah, treat staff members well, because they have basically carried this pandemic, haven't they?
In terms of just food to show and stuff. I mean, like, who's the most important guy? The banker or the delivery driver?
Yeah. Delivery drivers all day long have worked really hard during this. NHS have obviously killed it. It's not very good.
Don't say they've killed it.
They've done very well. Sorry, poor choice of words. They did very well.
They've killed dozens, hundreds. No, they haven't.
They saved many, many people. And then your retail staff, specifically those that work in your Aldis, your Asdas, your Tesco's, they did really well, and didn't deserve some of the treatment they've been given, to be fair. But it's absolutely shit. That basically people like that have been like, we were clapping. Well, we weren't clapping. No. Everyone was clapping for the NHS every Thursday, weren't they?
Every Thursday, 8 o'clock, go outside and do your little train seal act. Oh.
Yeah.
Stop voting for a government that's been defunding them for 10 years, and you daft pricks.
Exactly. So they were doing the clap every Thursday, which it's nice for people that did vote for Labour, or that voted for Tory and still thinks the NHS should get more money, because they do exist. I know you don't believe they do, but
they're all cunts.
But they do exist. But they need more than just a clap. They need
clapping doesn't feed their family.
Yeah, they need a reward, don't they? And I've noticed that you haven't seen much of it on Facebook, but they've started asking for a pay rise. And surprise, surprise, you can barely see that on any news outlets or Facebook.
It wasn't that long ago that the red top newspapers and the Sun was calling junior doctors greedy because they were complaining they were working like 50-hour weeks and were sleep deprived on the job and they weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were greedy then. Now they're a hero.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They're just leaving them out to dry, essentially.
Well, yeah, it sucks. I mean, it needs a massive investment.
It does. It's crazy. It's like they've basically just completely forgotten about them. I mean, they don't even do the clap thing on Thursday anymore.
No, that's gone now.
Is that going to come back because we're back in lockdown?
Oh, I guess so. It'll have to, won't it?
Is he going to clap on Thursday? Shouldn't he have clapped every Thursday?
Well, they did save his life, apparently.
Yeah, you would. Boris. He's carried on the lockdown, but he's not carrying on the clap. And I love how the fact they're carrying on the clap.
I bet you Boris has carried on the clap for a bit.
For a while.
Yeah.
But
Probably last year as well. Who knows?
I love how the fact that now they're starting to ask for pay rises and stuff. You barely see anything about it. Boris isn't posting anything about that, is he?
No.
There's nothing on his page, on his Facebook or anything. You barely see it on any of the news outlets or anything. Why isn't that being pushed?
And of course, he was complaining that the £150,000 a year he gets paid to be Prime Minister isn't enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. He can't afford to pay for his nanny.
I know.
Yeah.
Or his 6 kids that he has to pay welfare for.
Yeah, he said he's gonna have to quit, isn't he?
How awful for him.
Yeah. What's he gonna do?
Well, he's going to go on the... he's going to go back to writing for papers because they were paying him so many thousand per article.
Was that what he did before, was it?
Yeah, I suppose he was mayor of London. He's old money, isn't he? His family's loaded.
Yeah.
You know, he just has to try and make a bit on the side.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's just they're greedy, aren't they? The aristocracy, they want more.
Yeah. Well, it's expensive living where he lives, I guess. But in fairness,
it's a free house.
But I was just
Downing Street's free.
I was just going to say, but in fairness, it's not why you're supposed to get into politics, is it? You're not supposed to get in for the financial incentive. You're supposed to get in because you care about your country. And if he's moaning about money, he's in the wrong profession.
Well, that's it. That's immediately what someone should have said. And then leapt over the thing, ripped his tail off, swung it round.
His lizard tail.
His lizard tail.
Because as we all know, he's a lizard man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
What do they call them? Do they have a name?
Well, it's reptilian, isn't
Reptilians.
he? You know, all the Tory MPs are reptilians.
Yeah.
It must be.
How good would you be for the Labour with reptilians as well?
Well, I'd be slightly disappointed, yeah.
What happens if, like, in every country in the world, or any like powerful country anyway, all of the political debates and all the arguments and stuff, like 90% of the politicians on both sides are just aliens just having fun with us. So like half of them are like reptilians and the other half of them are like some sort of other species and they're just basically just fucking with us.
Well, it's a possibility.
Just for fun.
Yeah. I've seen They Live. I know how this works.
They just put their skin masks on and they're like, oh, let's fuck with them today.
In They Live, it's all signals.
Oh, okay.
So they can walk about with them, and they're like skull-faced aliens.
Oh, okay.
And they can trot around because all the signals, all the advertising and everything has been thrown at us, alters our perception.
Oh, okay.
So they just look like normal people.
Yeah.
But in reality, they are like blue skull-faced aliens.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So only when you get the Hoffman lenses, the sunglasses, you can see the world as it really is.
Okay. I would not be surprised at this point, to be fair.
But sadly, Roddy Piper's passed away, R.I.P.D.
Yeah.
And, well, he came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and he was all out of gum.
He was all out of gum.
Yeah.
Can't beat a slogan like that,
You
can
can't,
you? That's
can
an
you?
old school slogan, that is.
Then he just shot up a bank.
Fucking hell.
Killed loads of aliens who were running the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
All right, so pandemics, the NHS. Let's go to the other big news.
What else?
After a never-ending election.
Yeah. It's still not ended. They're still counting.
Well,
they're
referring to him as president-elect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he must have won.
No, the media is referring to him as president-elect.
Well, he's referring to himself as president-elect
Yeah,
now.
he should probably wait, really.
See, part of me thinks, yeah, all right. Well, let's just make sure that all this was legit.
Yeah.
But then part of me thinks, I don't think Trump likes to lose.
Yeah.
And he did say in like some radios, can you imagine if I lose to the worst politician in American history? I'll have to leave the country. Well, you know, you just did, buddy.
He hasn't yet.
You know, and you're like, well, all right. I mean, even when it comes to Rupert Murdoch is literally turning and saying, just go with some fucking grace, will you?
Yeah.
You think, wow, even he's saying that, and he's a 4-star twat.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he owns Fox, he owns Sky, he owns the Sun.
Oh yeah, because Fox flipped, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was certainly interesting.
Yeah, they flipped sides on the final hour as well.
I know, they betrayed. They literally, it was like an et tu brute moment.
They like,
stabbed him in the back.
Yeah, they're like the only big network that's on the right wing side in America. All of the media outlets are all left wing in America. It's like the opposite to here.
Yeah,
they're all on the right wing side here, aren't they?
But
so now they don't even have Fox.
That's bad, really. I mean,
stabbed him in the back
because they declared Arizona,
yeah.
They declared Arizona,
which was weird, really, because they were like pretty neck and neck, and they'd only counted 80% of the votes, and they were like, "Yeah, Biden's got it." It's like, I think at that point it was just their way of going, we want to swap sides. So, because you can't call when there's still like a million sort of votes left, you can't really call it, can you?
No, but they always seem to call these states early.
Yeah, I was having this conversation the other day. I don't think you should be able to call them till 100% of them are counted.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Otherwise, we end up getting like a week of freaking, like they're still arguing about it now. Because all the votes have either been counted, haven't been counted, need to be recounted, voter fraud needs to be investigated. It's like it wouldn't go on for a week if you counted them all to 100%, announced them then, and once you announced them then they could ask for recounts, then they could ask for the fraud. Now we're still waiting for the recounts, we're still waiting for the announcements. Like 2 or 3 states that haven't been announced yet.
No, well,
yeah,
something like that.
Which is ridiculous.
I haven't quite enjoyed some of the Trumpers going like, "Oh, this is terrible. They've stolen the presidency.
Yeah,
I'm going to move to Hawaii," and you're like, you do realise that's part of the United States, don't you?
And they voted for Democrat, didn't they?
I did believe they did. Yes.
Yeah, they did. So why would they go to Hawaii?
Because some of your average Trump fans are a bit dumb, and they don't realise that Hawaii is not part of the.
Well, you could say that about Biden fans, to be fair.
Well, you can say it about both sides.
A lot of them are like, Trump's racist. It's like, you should probably do some research on Biden. Oh, I saw this earlier. You know, well, you won't know, but you know the film Frozen, the Disney film.
I'm aware of what it is.
I'm sure it's the woman that sang the song "Let It Go." Apparently, her kid literally turned around to her. This was on Facebook, so it could be completely bullshit because Facebook lies a lot, apparently. But apparently, her kid turned around and said, "Now President Biden's in, does that mean no more kids in the cages?" It's like, is anyone going to tell that kid that Biden was the one that built the cages?
Well, Obama.
Well, both of them.
Well,
could have very easily said, I don't think that's very human rightsy, putting humans in cages, Obama.
He's not going to say that. Biden never said a word for 8 years.
I know, yeah. And he's the guy who's in charge.
Because I think Obama knew that, like, if we let this guy have a platform,
yeah,
then he's going to fuck up and he's going to make life difficult for me.
Yeah.
So it was literally like, Joe, just stay quiet, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, how he got the fucking nomination.
Well, the thing is he's 40. He's been in politics for 47 years. He's done pretty much. If you check his resume, he's done very little in 47 years, and the things he has done is very sketchy, very questionable, and very racist. To be fair.
Well, he's a career politician.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the only career he's ever. Well, he may have used to sit on the board of some company or something. Yeah. Most of them seem to.
I think he came from like a middle class background. To be fair. And then he kind of rose up. But during his early years, he was very pro-segregation, very, like I said, not very friendly with other people, shall we say.
Yeah.
And like he wrote that crime act with Hillary Clinton or whatever, the 1994 crime act, which was like really racist. But
Hillary?
Yeah.
Racist? Doing things for money?
Yeah, I know. Crazy, isn't it?
Not killing people because they...
I know.
I mean, Clinton kill list is something easily looked at.
Yeah. Well, a few of the presidents, some of the stuff. George Bush, like all of his sort of war crimes.
Yeah, Tony Blair. Let's go with him.
Yeah.
I mean, Dick Cheney.
Those two should probably be in jail for the things they did. To be fair.
That's it. Because you can, whatever you want to look at, it was kind of an illegal invasion of Iraq.
It was, yeah.
There wasn't any justification for it. Well, we were lied to.
It was a loose accusation of nuclear weapons, wasn't it?
Chemical and biological.
Oh, was that?
But he could have a nuke in a few years.
Yeah, but we never found anything, though, did we, really?
They never found fucking anything.
Yeah, we did. We found oil.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, shit, there's some oil here. At least it wasn't a total waste of time.
You know, in Afghanistan, they found a mountain that's worth $5 trillion worth of oil, mineral and ore and gold. And
fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange that, isn't it?
Not ours now.
Well, I'd imagine that there's some kind of lucrative deal going on.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, like, I'm sorry to bitch on the US, but they are very money orientated.
Oh,
governmentally.
Most countries are, specifically the Western countries.
I mean, when the last Ebola outbreak happened in Africa, I can't remember which country it was, do apologise. But, like, so every country sent doctors. America sent a brigade of troops to guard the diamond mines. You know, send some doctors too, for God's sake.
No, they just wanted the money.
You don't need a brigade of troops.
It is. It's
It's all about
corrupt.
securing that wealth, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah.
Because it's all finite.
Yeah. It all runs out eventually, doesn't it? So they've got to secure it.
Sadly, that's the problem with capitalism. Is it's
It's
all about infinite growth.
Yeah.
But you can't have infinite growth if you're going to run out of resources one day.
Well, that's why they're putting so much money into space exploration, isn't it? Because if you can go to planet, you can just keep doing infinite capitalism all over space.
Well, yes, sure you can.
Until you have the technology where you don't run out of things anymore.
I mean, there's an asteroid that's worth X amount of trillion.
Yeah. That's the only.
It could make us all millionaires. That asteroid.
We should probably try and catch it. Build like a giant.
I'll get a net.
I was thinking, when you watch people with baseball and they have the mitt.
Yeah.
I was thinking like a giant mitt, giant hand with a mitt. We just catch the asteroid.
What, we attach it to the side of the Earth?
Yeah. Just to get.
It's gonna have to be a pretty big hand.
It'll be fine. Giant hand in a glove.
So we've got to put the Earth's resources into building a giant mannequin hand.
No, just the Americans. They're the ones that love baseball. They can build it.
Why don't you just have a big net?
Because the net would just drag us with it, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Oh,
yeah. We've caught the asteroid. Bad news is we're going towards the sun.
It's pulling us away.
Shit. It's going to get really, really hot in the next 3 months because we're going to be closer to Venus than Venus is to the sun. And then we're going to have an ice age.
Yeah, and die.
So you survive the heat. That's what you got to look forward to.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, with the present election, my issue with it, I mean, I know obviously our opinions differ a little bit on it because we've talked about it a little bit. But my opinions on it, specifically with what's going on now, is media is so corrupt and the press is so corrupt right now. There's no way on this planet that they should be able to announce when somebody's won a presidential election, as though it's fact. And they'd announced it before it was fact. It's still not fact now.
Well, everyone's calling him president-elect.
Yeah, he shouldn't actually be president-elect until all the votes have gone through, and then he doesn't actually become president until January.
That's it, it's January.
Yeah, so he becomes president-elect once the votes are counted and proven to be fair, and then he becomes the president in January.
So what's to stop the Donald between now and January 20th, I believe it is?
The Donald. That was said with love.
What's to stop Donny Baby?
Donny Baby.
Just making a complete fuck up of everything, just deliberately fucking it up.
You've seen that on one of the media outlets posted that, didn't they?
I didn't read the article. I just read the headline because I was like, well, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, they said that he's going to take America down with him. Was that the article you read? I saw that one.
No, I don't think it was something like that. It was like, what if he just decides to run amok, basically, for the last...
I don't think he would do anything. See, this is the thing.
You got to look at legacy, haven't you? Surely.
Yeah. So this is the thing. See, I know you don't like Trump, and to begin with, I didn't like Trump, and I don't think we'd be buddies. But as far as presidents go, and all of the history on Biden, the history on Trump, and all that, and I mean, he's not an angel, and I think most politicians aren't angels. But
no,
he's in my opinion, he did do a decent job as president, better than Obama. And I think he would do better in the next 4 years than Biden, because I don't think Biden knows what he's doing. I don't hate Biden. I wouldn't even say some of the stuff he did in the past was arguable as whether or not it was good or bad. But I know this isn't a justification, but it was a different time. So yeah. if you were left wing in America, you could justify some of his actions as it was a different time. He didn't know any better, and he's evolved over time, and he's become a better person, and that's fine. He seems like an okay guy, but my issue with him is he seems also very unwell. He seems like his sort of mental capacity is deteriorating, and I know the right in America is pushing that harder than maybe it is, but he's made a lot of mistakes on like press conferences, interviews. I mean, he called Trump George the other week. Yeah, because he thought he was talking about the George Bush administration, so he got completely confused, and he said that he was running for Senate. Same interview, I think, if I remember correctly. So he's clearly unwell. Do I think he's got gone full on? No, but I think he's definitely deteriorating.
Well, a vote for Biden was a vote for Harris, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. So I think he'll do...
Biden's going to do a year, 2 years.
Yeah, I think he'll do a year, and then they'll announce publicly that he's got Alzheimer's or something, and he's deteriorating quite quickly. Because a lot of the time now, you can see that he's not actually speaking for himself. He's reading stuff off like one of those teleprompters or something.
Well, they all do that anyway.
Yeah, but you can tell like he when he goes off script, he doesn't make sense, and that's concerning. That's concerning as a president, because this guy's got to talk to world leaders.
But can you argue that Trump is fully there, faculty-wise?
Yes, definitely. I've watched a lot of stuff on both of them, and Trump is a very intelligent guy, and he gets put across as dumb, and I don't know why they do that, because he's actually very intelligent.
I think it's because of the language he uses.
Yes, he uses very common language. He uses very aggressive language.
Aggressive, simplistic. Apparently, it's... Now, in Britain, we have a newspaper called The Sun.
Yeah.
And The Sun will write to about maybe an 8 to 10-year-old's level.
Yeah.
And because it tends to be read by your common working man, it's reading at the level that either they fully understand, or B, don't struggle to read.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Trump's thing was, is that if I speak very simply, but quite aggressively, because let's face it, aggression... If you're more poorly educated and a bit dumb, you tend to be a bit more aggressive because you don't understand what's going on around you.
Yeah.
That can be a usual thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, if I give this aggressive rhetoric,
the thing is,
then it communicates better with my voter base, which are all, well, not all of them, let's say, but a certain percentage of them are dumb as fuck Bible Belt hicks.
See, this is the thing, is the media pushes that sort of...
Yes, you never see an interview with someone, with a Trump supporter who's quite eloquent and says, well, actually, he's done this, this, and this. It's always, well, God said...
No, that's what... Because, see, this is the thing.
It's always someone with a Confederate flag whenever they're interviewing him, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is the thing, because you lean left quite hard, so the Facebook algorithm basically only shows... It only shows you things to make you hate and dislike things on the right. So, see, because I lean in the middle, I get a little bit from both. So I lean left here, but if I was American, I would lean right, because I actually think that the right have it better. When I've watched conversations, debates, and everything with the right versus the left, and I'm talking people top of their field, the right dance around them like the left, like they're idiots. They are so much more intelligent, better educated, and they make the left look like idiots.
Yeah, but that's because they're... educated, and that means that who are they preaching to?
No, in their same field. So if you've got a left and a right wing politician, the right wing smashes him. If you get someone on the media and or anyone sort of like say if you get I've seen things where like you remember that video I showed you of Candy Sowens? So she's a right wing Trump
Did she
supporter.
Get in?
Huh?
Did she get in?
She basically just does interviews and talks.
Right.
She's like a sort of like a media, I guess, low level sort of thing. Well, she's higher level now, but she debates with a guy all the time, and he's left wing, and they are actually friends, but they have completely polar opposites. And he runs his own show, also very clever, but they debate often on her show, and she absolutely smashes him pretty much every time. And the reason is because she is very intelligent, she's very well educated, and she knows what she's talking about. And some of it is opinion, and some of it's his opinion. But a lot of times when it's fact, she knows more. And she's not she is religious. A lot of them are religious, but she's not thumping a Bible. She's not throwing it at people's heads. She's not swinging a flag around.
Oh, she's not like that woman fucking saying that 1 million angels are going to show up to defend the polling stations.
No, she's not.
Oh,
but
God.
This is the thing is, you have to understand is most of America are religious, like 90% of them.
Yeah, but come on, there's being religious, and then there's fucking standing there shouting about how you're going to summon 1 million angels.
I know, yeah.
I mean, that's just ludicrous. I mean, you can be religious and not think like that, surely. And that's what she's the spiritual advisor to Donald Trump. Now, all right, Trump is not spiritual in the fucking slightest.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, years ago he said he was an atheist. But whatever gets you over, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you think, oh, where could I get a shit ton of votes from? Bible Belt.
Yeah.
They usually go Republican. I'll make out I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
Boom. Surround myself. Get Pence in.
And
I do think that, I don't think many of the Republicans thought Trump was going to last 4 years. And I think the plan was that Pence would come in
Yeah.
as the religious right,
Mm.
and they'd all be like, "Yay!" And then you've got the religious right running America, which what happens then? You end up with, for me, they're no different from the Taliban.
Okay.
You know, they are literally an American Taliban.
Yeah.
What's the difference between an American girl?
Have
you ever seen the meme?
This is where it's going to turn into a debate now because you've gone on to opinion. So I'm gonna just turn it into a debate now. Tell me one time the religious right have organized a massive terrorist attack in America, like the Taliban.
No, the Taliban haven't.
The Taliban have orchestrated terrorist attacks in their own country, haven't they?
In their own country.
There you go. So you just said they're like the.
It depends who you want to class terrorism as. You could argue that guy who ran down the was it Black Lives Matter at the time, or they were tearing down a statue. There was he ran them down. He literally just fucking ploughed into him in his car, didn't he?
Mm.
He was right wing. He was on the other side.
But it's not a terrorist organization.
Well, you can argue it's a terrorist attack, though.
Yeah, but it's not a terrorist.
It's a lone wolf. I mean, they said Lee Harvey Oswald always a lone wolf.
Yeah, but it's not a terrorist organization attack, is it? The right wing didn't claim that was an attack by them.
No, it's, MI5 in this country said that we should be looking more at right wing terror groups than we should be Islamist terror groups at the moment.
Someone said that here.
Yeah,
it's weird because in America they say we should look at the left because they're the ones for terrorism. So the investigations in America said the left.
Yeah, but if you could argue that...
Which would make sense if you think about it, because, I mean, there was 100 days of riots, people getting killed.
That's all stopped now, isn't it?
Cities burning to the ground.
It's all stopped now.
Yeah.
Strange, that, isn't it?
Yeah. You could argue that was terrorism, to be fair.
Civil disobedience, terrorism, it depends what side of the line you're standing on, doesn't it?
I think if you're burning down,
depends which side of the line you stand on. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
I think if you're burning down innocent businesses of people just trying to get by, you're a terrorist. To be fair,
no, I think you're a criminal.
No, I'm pretty sure if you burn one down, you're a criminal. If you burn down all of them and you burn down all of them because of your beliefs, you're a terrorist. That's where it starts. That's where it starts blurring the lines, isn't it? And becomes the next thing is when you start preaching a belief system. Then you burn it down. If you burn it down, you're a criminal. If you burn it down based on your beliefs, you're a terrorist.
But one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
Who are they fighting for freedom for?
Well, because they would assume that they're fighting for the black people's freedom and their lives and making them matter.
So who are they fighting against?
The oppressive white man state.
The oppressive white man state.
That's it, yeah. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I just find it crazy.
The corrupt, the racist police.
Yeah.
The racist Trump administration.
The crazy thing is about.
There you go.
The crazy thing is about that though is more white people are killed yearly in America by police than black people.
Because there's more white people.
Yeah, but if they were a racist, then it would be more black people regardless, though, wouldn't it? It wouldn't matter because they would only kill the race they don't like. They wouldn't want to kill their race, would they? If that were true.
Yeah.
If that were true, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't even matter even if there was only 1% of black people in America and 99% white. The black deaths would be really high, but actually they're very, very low. You're actually more likely to get hit by lightning than killed by a white cop if you're a black man. So statistically, based on that doesn't really point to racism at all.
Well, no, what it points to is the media blowing stories up and making them sensational.
Yeah,
I mean, every few years this happens.
And creating an entire generation of terrorists, essentially, because there's one thing to have a political opinion, that's fine. There's one thing to protest, that's fine. But when it stops becoming a peaceful protest and starts becoming violent, that's when you've gone too far, and that's when jail needs to happen at that point. If you're hurting people, I mean, it happened here, and one of the protesters got hurt by another protester because they pulled the statue down and it landed on them. Now, what should happen? What should happen to that guy that pulled down the statue? I mean, I know there was loads, but what should happen? We'll just say for the individual one that was caught, what should happen? Should he go to jail?
I guess
because
it depends if that other person wants to press charges, doesn't it?
What happens if he's in a coma and he can't? I don't know what happened to him, but let's say for argument's sake he's in a coma.
Then I guess that they would
he go to
say
jail? What happens if he dies? Should he go to murder,
Manslaughter, I guess.
But he went there with the intention of violence, destroying property.
Well, you see, I'm always split on violent protests because part of me likes the whole Martin Luther King, Gandhi approach.
Martin Luther King was a Republican, and he would have been very, very upset with how people have conducted themselves during these riots.
He would have been, because he was all about non-violence.
He was, yeah.
But
he would probably be ashamed.
He would not. Well, he'd have been calling for calm straight away if he was still alive, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have been ashamed with how the movement had went from being peaceful and trying to get fairness and equality,
civil rights,
to violence.
Yeah,
because I'm all for equality. I'm all for protest if somebody's being treated poorly. But the second it becomes violent, you've basically just lowered yourself to someone else's level.
Well, that's if you're saying the police are violent and you're attacking the police, well, you're no different from them, are you?
Exactly.
But at the same time, some part of me likes to think, some part of me says, no, that's crap, because the only way to make real lasting change in any kind of state is through violent revolution.
Really?
Yeah.
But you've just used Martin Luther King, for example.
I know. But what happened to him?
Yeah, but he wasn't violent.
But what happened to him?
Yeah, but that's like saying that...
But what happened to him?
Yeah, he died.
He got shot.
Yeah.
He was assassinated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well...
But he wasn't violent, no.
No, he wasn't violent. But then I think, well, all right, look at the French Revolution. If they'd have all just sort of took a knee...
So what you're saying is...
I think that if you want to overthrow a government, it has to be violent. I don't think you can do that through peaceful demonstration.
It can be violent, but do you think it needed to get to... Do you think that it needed to get to the point where you overthrow government because of...
Well, if I'm going full on French Revolution, or I'm going for Fidel's Cuba,
with what happened in America,
some guns.
What's happening in America? Does it need?
Well, no, because it's never going to get that far.
No. So what's the point in the violence then? What's the point in small businesses that had nothing to do with any of it being burnt to the ground, cities being burnt to the ground? It's going to cost the government billions to repair that. So the average taxpayer is going to have to pay for all the repairs of all of that.
If it ever gets fucking repaired.
If it ever gets repaired.
I mean, look at
often states are just left.
Well, did you ever see like New Orleans after they had the Hurricane Katrina? It was like 10 years later. It was still a fucking shithole.
Yeah.
Everything was still boarded up. Houses were still in ruins.
This is the thing. This is what I said to you at the beginning when all this started happening. Is when you burn down something, they're like, oh, okay, well, it's fine. They burned down a Wendys. It's a big corporation. It's got a franchise. They've got loads of money. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. The problem is, though, what about that single mom that has to go to work every day to support her kids, and she works at Wendys, and you burnt it down because you've not thought about anyone other than yourself? And for all you know, she's a black woman and she's got 2 children, and now she can't support them. What about their lives? If all Black Lives Matter, what about those lives? She now can't support her children. What's she going to do? Hopefully she can get on benefits before her kids starve to death.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But what happens if she had more in mind for her life? What happens if she wanted to work up to manager? And that might not seem like a big deal, but it could have been to her.
Could have been a massive pay rise.
Yeah, it could have been. But when they burn that stuff down, do you think they're going to put another Wendys there? No, they won't. They'll put it in a state where it won't get burnt down. So you're not actually, when you burn down your own like area where you live, you like your own sort of town or whatever, you're not actually going to improve your life. You're going to make it worse, aren't you? Because you burn it down. So these big corporations, they just leave. They go somewhere else. So you're just making your own life shitter, essentially.
Or they'll move it to the other side of town that you can't get to.
Yeah. So you're just making your own life shitter. And then people that have jobs there, working class people, are suffering because of it. So it doesn't actually achieve anything. If they wanted to, they should have took the protests to places of power.
Yeah, outside the Senate, outside the White House.
Yeah.
Which I think they did a bit,
They did. There was, I think I shared it while it was all happening, actually. I don't know if you saw the video, but it was a woman, and she was a nurse, and she was literally shouting at all of the rioters in the streets because...
I did see that video, and she's like, you don't fucking live here, I do.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to go back to your... Because these are white guys who are destroying a neighborhood.
They're all middle class, severely left-leaning...
who've been told that they've got white privilege.
Who have been told they've got white privilege by the media, by their college professors. So they think that they're going to go fight for black people by going to the... But then they go to the black neighborhoods and they wreck it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how are you helping? You're not helping. You're just making it worse. Go to those communities and and do charitable things.
Yeah, build a fucking house for somebody.
In literally that video, she's screaming. She's like, "There's homeless people that live here on the streets, and now there's glass on the floor. What are you doing? They sleep there.
Yeah.
Why don't they go there and they bring food to those areas? They offer to stay in charities. If they're middle class, they're pretty wealthy. Why don't they help that way? Why are they trashing these areas?
Because it's easier to burn stuff.
Yeah. No, it's because they're poor. They're poor areas, and they're like, oh great, well I'll leave my nice suburban area and go burn down that area. I'm not gonna protest and rally in my area.
Well, that's it. The thing is, I mean, how many riots now are peaceful?
Yeah.
Sorry, not riots. Riots aren't peaceful.
Protests.
How many protests end up being peaceful?
To be fair, this did annoy
because we become, moving on to a slightly different subject, we become completely polarized politically now.
Yeah, because
you are either right, left, you are Brexit, you are Remain, Leave.
Yeah, it's so hard to be central.
Tory, Labour.
Yeah, it's so hard to be central because the second you have a political opinion that's on one side, the media just, Facebook has an algorithm and it just reads everything and it just sends you tons of stuff saying your side is right and the other side is wrong. The other side are idiots. The other side are morons. You're intelligent. You're clever. You're right. Yeah. And then that's it. You believe it. And then when you search for the other side, there was a guy that did this. So he was American and he was right wing and he created a new Facebook account and he searched for nothing but left wing stuff. And they started pushing all the left-wing stuff for him, and then he got someone else to do it, and they were left-wing, and then they created a new account, and they searched for nothing for right-wing, and they both did it, and then they compared notes after a couple of weeks, and they found that some of the stuff the opposite guys were saying actually made a little bit of sense to them.
Yeah.
So they basically had been so stuck in their own bubble, political bubble, that they thought that the left was only the right way or the right was only the right way. And then when they took themselves out of that bubble and put themselves in the other person's bubble, they actually went, actually, some of the things that they're saying is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because both political parties will have good ideas.
Well, the thing is, I mean, everything overlaps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You know, I mean, now in America, the conservative, the sort of Democrats are like the Conservative Party, and the Republicans are a little bit further over.
No, your Democrats, I'd actually say they're further left than Labour now.
Oh, come on. Biden's not that far left.
Biden made a bold claim when he said he is the party. He's not the party. Most of the party want socialism. A large majority of the party wants socialism.
If the party wanted socialism, they'd have fucking nominated Bernie.
Yeah, but they know that Bernie would never get elected.
I don't know, man.
A lot of Americans wouldn't give up their freedom for socialism.
Yeah, but he's like Medicare for all.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going to tax the big corporations and all that.
Yeah.
You know, he goes, there's enough for everyone to have, enough for everyone not to want.
Mm-hmm.
That'd resound with me.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work on a large scale. It would cost so much to implement that. You'd have so many cities that wouldn't want to do it, and all of the rich companies would just leave and go to a different country and trade externally. So they would go to, say, China and then just trade to America. So it just wouldn't work. And this is why they know Bernie would never get in. Bernie's had so many opportunities.
He's not going to get in now.
No, he's had so many opportunities to become president, but he would never get in because the reason why the Democrats never pick him is because they know that no one would vote for him.
Well, they shafted him when it was against the Hillary Clinton nomination.
Yeah, well,
that was voter fraud right there.
He would be more likely to get in than her. I don't know why they put all their eggs in the basket of her, because she's a warmongering. She's like lunatic. She's crazy. But she
peels children's faces off and wears them.
Yeah, but
allegedly.
There's no way they knew there's no way that most American people, they're the land of the free, aren't they, so to speak? That's what they believe in, is being freedom and being able to do what they want. Bernie would put too many restrictions on that freedom.
He's never said nothing about that.
Most socialistic leaders never do.
He's a democratic socialist.
It's the same thing. It is literally the same thing.
I think Bernie would have beat Trump in 2016.
Nah, he wouldn't have.
I think what's
the difference between democratic socialism and socialism?
In socialism, we're not goose-stepping down the street wearing little armbands.
Yeah, but what's the difference?
In democratic socialism.
What's the political difference? Not what the life difference. What's the political difference between the two?
Well, socialism, national socialism, is basically being a Nazi, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like Stalin, isn't it?
No. National socialism is the Nazi party.
Yeah, essentially, I guess.
That's far right.
Yeah.
Stalin, which would have
It's
been
far left.
would have been extreme left.
Yeah.
So, but it's communism in name only, but
So
technically it's state authoritarianism.
Yeah, but you do know that
based on a communist system.
You do know that most writings literally indicate that socialism is just a stepping stone to communism. So you don't stay in socialism. It's like it's a transitional stage.
Yeah.
So it's like capitalism, socialism, end goal, communism. So you always end with
But
communism.
Star Trek's all right.
Yeah, because they have infinite resources.
Yeah.
But
All we got to do is invent a replicator.
What's the difference between democratic socialism and the other kinds of failed socialism? Because socialism killed over 100 million people in the past century. So what makes democratic socialism better than the others?
Well, isn't democratic socialism just more like, it's like capitalism, but with like, so you got certain socialist ideas in there, like universal healthcare, the benefit system, that's socialism.
So there isn't.
So democratic socialism is what the UK's had and toyed with briefly.
So the UK dip their toes in democratic socialism, I'd say. They take on socialist ideas, but they're not full-on democratic socialism. There isn't really, I don't think, anywhere that does democratic socialism. Bernie tried doing it in his own state and failed miserably, and they had to go back to the way they were before. It didn't work, and that was just one state. So imagine the entire country trying to do it.
Yeah.
Now imagine people that love freedom and love not having to pay much on their taxes. Imagine trying to get them to go along with socialism, because that's the thing. See, with socialism is they always say, because they want to get the working class on their side, so they always say, we'll tax the rich. But then the rich either leave or they run out of money because you've taxed them so highly. And it's foolish to say that the rich will always have money, because they won't. Because if you tax them 70 or 80%, their money will eventually run out. Because
back in the early days of the 20th century, when the rich were paying 80% tax rate.
They weren't.
They were.
No, they weren't.
They were, but after the First World War.
No, they weren't. If you're talking about America or England.
No, Britain.
I can't prove this with Britain because I don't know, but in America, theirs was like 70 or 80% or something ridiculous. And that's why accountants were basically created to make sure that they didn't have to pay that, because it was ludicrous to ask rich people to pay that. And if they hadn't have found loopholes, they would have just left.
But I also disagree with tax avoidance.
See, this is.
So what you need then is a fair sort of tax rate. But if you earn more, you should pay a little bit more.
No,
of course you should.
You are paying more.
Well, there you go then. Boom.
Yeah, you are paying more because you're paying more. So if I pay 20% and a millionaire pays 20%, they're paying the same. It's fair. That is fair. So socialists want fair. So if they want fair, everyone should be taxed the same, shouldn't they? That's fair. Why should they give more?
I want the aristocracy taxed to the hilt.
Yeah, but why should they give more when they already are giving more? So if, say, I paid 10 grand in taxes, they could pay 10 million in taxes.
Good.
Because their 20% would be like the set. It would
yes,
be
but then
the same.
That's all right. That's great in theory, but they've got a better accountant than you.
Yeah.
And they're going to work out a way so they're not paying.
Well, they wouldn't know.
Maybe instead of paying 10 million, they're paying the same as you.
They wouldn't know, would they?
Yeah, they could do.
No, they wouldn't, because if you tax them 50%, they would work out how to avoid that. Because
yeah, but if they tax them 20, never underestimate the greed of the wealthy. They only want more.
Yeah, but they probably wouldn't, because
they would though, because they want more.
Yeah, but they didn't.
That's why there's tax avoidance. That's why there's offshore accounts.
Well, see,
so they obviously do want more. They begrudge paying the tax.
The evidence points against that. See, because in America, Trump dropped the taxes and he dropped the corporation taxes, and all of the companies that 10, 15, and 20 years ago left and went to places like China all started to come back because the taxes were lower, because they would rather pay that than pay ridiculous import taxes, which I'm pretty sure he upped. Stop that from happening. So if you drop taxes, people are happier to pay that amount of taxes. But if you charge them a ridiculous amount, so if I went from 50% taxes all the way down to 20, I'd be so happy that I'm paying less than half that I will just pay it and not bother hiring an expensive accountant, wouldn't I?
Yes, but if you're Jeff Bezos, and you're like, oh, you know what, my 20% is still X amount of 100 million.
But he's not the 1% though, is he? He's the 0.1%.
Well, that's not talking. Even so.
Yeah, but you can't categorize those two, can you? You can't categorize the 1%. So this is the thing that I get when I get into these debates, and I had this debate a bit with Mike, is there's a big difference between your 1% and your 0.1%. So your trillionaires, yes, maybe they should be taxed more because nobody needs 100 trillion like Jeff Bezos. And his corporation does avoid. But then you've got a lot of people that say have $10 million, and like 90% of that is in investments and paying their staff. So if you tax them more, what happens to the staff? They're the first to go. So you just put a bunch of people out of work just because you wanted more money.
Well, you got to look at these things. I mean, I'm not talking about. I mean, I just think the big corporations should pay more.
Yeah, but what?
Like, even your Googles, your Amazons, your Starbucks, they're paying not much.
Yeah, but at what point do you say this company is making so much money that we need to tax them ridiculous amounts?
You don't tax them ridiculous. You make it so they have to just pay their fair share.
But
Whether that be 20% or what?
A lot of companies do. There's very few that actually. There's only your massive sort of huge companies like your Amazon and stuff that actually do avoid paying their taxes. A lot of companies do pay their fair share.
Yeah, well, so they should do.
Yeah,
but a lot don't.
But the idea of upping the taxes is ridiculous because they'll just leave and they'll just go somewhere where they don't.
Amazon isn't going to leave.
No,
the
Amazon
UK or the US.
Amazon isn't going to leave, but a lot of companies would leave. If you up their taxes, they'd leave. If you
no, they wouldn't still make too much. They're still making profit.
If you stop them from avoiding their taxes and you say up their taxes to 80%, they would leave.
No one's going to up their taxes to 80%.
If you did, well, some socialist governments would want to.
They would
leave.
But then we'd have UK. Why have we got to have Amazon then? So let's say Amazon went, all right, fuck you, we'll leave, and you go, okay, see you later.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll build a warehouse.
Yeah.
And we'll just basically make a state version of Amazon.
Because when is a state?
So it'll be a nationalized version of Amazon. So you'll be buying stuff basically from, because all Amazon is like a wholesaler, isn't it?
So are we talking about the UK or America?
Let's say the UK.
The UK. Okay.
So let's see. Okay. We go, Amazon, we're fed up of you fucking not paying your fair share of taxes. Sort the avoidance out, or we're going to bang your tax rate up to 80%. And they go, okay, we're leaving.
Okay.
So they leave. They go, right, we're done.
Right.
All right, then. So we get the British government says, all right, then we're going to have a state version of Amazon.
Okay.
So basically a wholesaler. You go to online.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure's already there.
Yeah.
You know, we'll buy the vans off Amazon.
Yeah.
We'll buy the warehouse off Amazon.
Yeah.
Keep the staff in place. Pay them the same or pay them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because it's not for profit now.
Yeah.
The state's running this. And as long as it breaks even, we're actually quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Because you've still got all the staff who are paying their taxes anyway.
Yeah.
And all the profit is coming back into the government.
So the reason why that doesn't work is governments are infamously terrible with managing money because they are corrupt. So they give all of their money to politicians and they make money disappear. So the reason why that wouldn't work is because anything that's state-run pretty much exclusively ends up becoming shitter as time goes on. And now I'm not saying things aren't good because
British Rail was a damn sight better than all these different firms they've got running it now.
Right. So basically, let's use, for example, the NHS. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good thing because it is a good thing because it gives everyone else free healthcare. But what I am saying is it's not as good as private healthcare. So what happens when you give something for free or you give something that's government run is usually it goes to shit. And the reason why it goes to shit is because the government doesn't care. And that's what it comes down to. They don't care. So the NHS, we did this in the dictator one, didn't we? The wait time was like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And in America, it's 22 minutes. Because they're getting paid. Yeah. Amazon will get your package to you within a day because it's in their best interest because they have competition. There is other delivery companies. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we state run and we get rid of all the other ones or we just implement one, well, this is a perfect example for this. We're going to America now. Is they had a national postal service.
Yeah.
And for years and years it was shit and people were complaining. FedEx turned up. Nobody uses the national postal service in America pretty much now. FedEx everything.
Yeah.
Because competition came in, they did it for better. It was cheaper. And that's what happens. So capitalism is great because it provides competition. And this is why Amazon is so successful. Because basically, if you think about it, capitalism is more fair and equal than socialism will ever be because we can elect our officials, so our presidents, our prime ministers, which is great. In socialism, you are given a government-run thing, yeah? So you don't choose who delivers your stuff, yeah? You don't choose who takes care of you if you get sick, if you're old, you die. It's just given to you, yeah? You don't choose if it's the best, you're just given what's available. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's socialism. Now, capitalism, what that basically says is You can literally pick what you want, and it can be as good or as shit as you want it to be, depending on how much you are prepared to pay or how important it is to you. So I watched a video on this the other day, and it explains it perfectly. Every time we want something, we're essentially making an election. Yeah. So we've elected Amazon to be the king of deliverers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We've elected them to be the king of consumerist buying objects. Yeah. They are the king, and we elect that every time we buy something. If you don't like Amazon, you don't like him being Jeff Bezos being a trillionaire, stop electing him.
Yeah, it's true.
Pick a smaller company, buy from them instead, because there is competition. But I buy off eBay a lot, because I know a lot of the time, I mean, eBay gets about 20%, but a lot of the money then also goes to the individual seller. But a lot of money goes to Jeff Bezos directly in Amazon.
Yeah.
But why do we pick Amazon? Why do you buy from Amazon and not eBay?
Because it's easier.
And how quickly can they get you your package?
Next day.
So it takes me about 2 or 3 days to get mine from eBay, because I'm buying from individual people that have to package it up and then post it to me. So you see the problem there is we pick convenience. That's why capitalism always wins, because it's convenient and we can pick who's the best. And the best is usually the best. So Jeff will guaranteed, if you put him in any country, he'll beat everyone else. And he'll get you the best products for the best prices, because you can't beat him.
Well,
so we therefore elect who's rich and powerful. So anyone that leans extremely left and hates capitalism and loves socialism, and I know Mike's going to listen to this at some point, Mike, you are basically funding Monster to be the king of energy drinks.
No, was it Monster or Rockstar?
Rockstar, then.
I forget which one he has.
Yeah, so whichever one it is, he's basically making an election. Every time he buys a can, he's making an election. He is choosing capitalism over socialism, essentially. And that's what it is.
And on that bombshell.
Yeah, because could you imagine if I said to you, here's Rockstar, here's Monster, and I know you don't really drink.
I don't drink energy.
Okay, so you don't drink energy. So here's Carling.
Yeah.
Here's Carlsberg.
Yeah.
I know you don't like Carlsberg.
I like
and
Carlsberg.
Here's the government issue beer. Which one do you want?
Which one's cheapest?
They're all the same price. Actually, no, the government one's probably a little bit more expensive because of socialism. But for argument's sake, we'll say they're all the same price.
What if the government issue beer is just as nice as the Carling? And I'll just
you don't know. You don't know.
Oh, don't I?
No.
Well, have I never tasted beer before in this scenario?
Yes, you've never tasted beer, but you want a beer.
What a horrible, dark world that would be.
No, honestly, you do know. You know the taste of all three. Right. And your favourite hasn't changed.
Well, it depends what's cheapest then.
They're the same price in this argument, because it's socialism, and apparently in a perfect world, perfect socialism, everything's fair, everything's equal.
Oh, right, then I don't know, I'll go with the Carling. It doesn't really matter then, does it?
You went with no, yes, it does matter, because you went for your favourite one.
Well, yeah, but if they all taste the same,
yeah,
and they're all the same price.
The difference is if you buy this one, it goes to the government. The money goes to the government. If you buy that one, it goes to Carling.
Well, I'll buy half and half then.
But bear in mind, if you do that, Carling will make a loss, and they might have to close down their distribution.
Then the government can buy them out and start mass producing government issue Carling.
No, they would just close all stores in the UK, and you wouldn't be able to buy Carling anymore. And that's usually what happens in most socialist countries.
Well, I'm mocked for drinking Carling by some people.
Yeah.
Who say that it's a shit lager.
It is a shit lager.
A lot of people would be really happy with that.
Yeah, most lagers are shit. Budweiser's the best. So this is basically my argument for that. Socialism sounds great in theory, but I watched a video on this again the other day, and literally I can't remember his name, but he's a famous socialist, and he says it cannot physically work unless every country agrees to it, because if you're a socialist country, all the other capitalist countries won't want to trade with you, so you'll collapse, you'll implode. And he loves socialism, but he literally says,
unless we get the Star Trek replicators.
Unless we get the and then that's communism. But yeah, that would work because everyone gets free shit, and you can get whatever you want, can't you? Between the holodeck and the food replicator, you can get whatever you want.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
What happens on the holodeck stays on the holodeck.
Yeah. So at that point, we're in the future, so it doesn't matter. But right now, it just doesn't work, and it doesn't work because you'd have to get every country to agree to it. Because they won't agree to it. This is the problem. See, don't get me wrong, in the UK I do lean left, but the problem with being too left is they want globalism over nationalism, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's globalism over nationalism. But when you're a socialist, it's really hard to be a globalist, and the left wants socialism as well. So you need to pick a lane. You can't have both, because socialism basically means you want the country to kind of provide and distribute.
Yeah, internally, everything's nationalised.
Yeah, but it's very hard then to trade with everyone externally. The only way to do that is go for communism like China, but then the problem with that is then you have to treat people quite poorly and pay them very badly.
Yeah, but China,
make them do long days so that you can export large amounts of stuff to bring that wealth back in.
Yeah, but China, they're communist in name only nowadays. They're pretty much a capitalist country. You've got billionaires, millionaires, you've got free market enterprise. They bought that in because the economy was suffering under the hardline communism, didn't they?
Yeah. So this is the thing, see, is
oh, pardon me.
Everyone thinks that your end goal of socialism is capitalism, socialism, communism. Yeah, that's not the end goal. It's capitalism, socialism, communism with capitalism. That's the only way you survive. But what that usually means is just suppression of the working class.
But somewhere in the middle of that, you've got to stand in front of a fucking tank.
So basically,
like Tiananmen Square.
Basically, in my opinion, is the end goal, and this is why it scares me. The end goal of it is basically modern day slavery. That's what it is.
Well, motherfucker.
Yeah, you just because what happens. This is what happens: is a communist country goes, we're struggling. We need to distribute wealth better. We need to make this more of a capitalist type thing, but we can't take on full capitalism because we're a communist country. This is what we've been pushing for years. We basically have a dictator. We've got to stick to this. So what they do is they go, right, we'll have some people, like political officials and people that are in charge of these areas. They can be your sort of richer people, your upper class. And then they go, okay, but we need that wealth distributed. So let's have a middle class. So they introduce a middle class. But then they're like, well, we still need this communist train to keep running somehow. Let's suppress the working class. And that's exactly what's happened in China. And the idea of socialism is to defeat the rich.
Yeah.
And instill...
God, they've even destroyed communism.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way, does it? Because let's say, for argument's sake, and I know we're running out of time now, so I'll wrap this up. Let's say, for argument's sake, me and you decide to take over the government, yeah? What do you
mean? I'm already planning it.
We're socialists, and we want to make it fair for the working class, because me and you are working class. So we take over, and we're successful. So what's the first thing we do? We think we're better at running the country than the people we've just knocked off, essentially. They're gone now, they're dead, because we don't want them coming back.
Their heads are on spikes.
Yeah, we don't want them coming back. So now we're in charge, because that's what we're thinking. We're thinking, well, we could probably do this better, couldn't we?
Yeah.
So now we're in charge.
We don't need parliament.
So for the first year, it's great. It is great, because we think we're uncorruptible. And we think that we can make everything fair. But then countries stop trading with us and we start running out of things. And then we have to decide who we give things to. And then there's one area of the country that says, if you give us this, we'll give you that. And then the other areas like, well, we can't give you anything. So then you're like, well, I give it to them then, because they can give me something. So then they give you something, which essentially what you've just done is took a bribe. So you are corruptible. And then where does it go from there? And then before you know it, then you're the ruthless dictator.
Yeah, but we model ourselves on Batman.
On Batman.
And he's incorruptible. He's the knight.
He is uncorruptible, but the thing about him is everyone does what he says or else.
I'm still not seeing a problem.
he'll break like Robin's arm if he has to. He's like, do as you're told.
Again, I'm not seeing a problem.
But yeah, you see the issue, don't you?
Well, not if we model ourselves on Batman.
The Batman communist.
We make it a Batopia.
Batopia. And we're all creatures of the night.
Yeah.
Beating up villains.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, this is the problem. But capitalism, again, I'm not super pro-capitalism either. It is it does bring out the worst in people.
It does.
Money always brings out the worst in people. You will never find a sleazier person than someone that owns a Fortune 500 company or whatever they're called. Fortune 500
something like that.
Your hedge fund people and all that.
They're
so corrupt. And then
Wolf of Wall Street kind of guys.
And then your lifetime career politicians. So you're going to find some very corrupt people there. But for your average Joe, capitalism's good. And the reason why it's good is it affords you the opportunity to bring yourself out of your sort of slump. Yeah, if you came from a family that didn't do very well financially, you have the opportunity to do well.
As long as you apply yourself.
As long as you apply yourself. You don't apply yourself, you're stuck. But the thing is if you apply yourself, you can. In socialism, that doesn't really happen unless
It can happen.
if you're ruthless. Yeah. If you beat up all the other people working on the fields every day, you know what? That kid's got initiative. I went to whip him. He whipped himself. That guy's getting hired. He's getting modern day slave of the year.
Let's just to wrap it up slightly. It amused me. We had a batch of temps. We had a new temping agency to get us temporary workers in.
Yeah.
And then I won't say their name, but on the back of these temps high vises said, "Ending modern slavery," and it's like, you're working for a temping agency.
Yeah.
You are modern slaves.
Yeah, basically.
You have no rights, and you're on less than me.
Yeah.
What's that say?
Yeah.
It's all fake news.
It is.
Everything is fake news.
Yeah, that's the thing I've taken from this year is never trust the media. When you see something, even if you watch a video, take it with a pinch of salt. See if you can find other sources to confirm it, and even then it might not be true. You have to find as many confirmed sources and facts as you can, because a lot of the time it's like we will probably do the presidential election, like a full podcast on it, I'd imagine, because we were talking about it earlier. But it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong, I think there's a high probability that Biden's going to win this, and I'm saying going because he hasn't won it, and it's really annoyed me that the press is saying he has. They've nominated him president-elect or whatever. They can't do that. The American politicians can do that, but they can't do that, and they've done that. And a lot of American politicians are like, "Wait a sec, well that's our job. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
We're still counting in many states. We're recounting in some states."
I'm just so glad that fucking BBC news screen refreshed after 4 days.
You're watching it for 4 days.
Well, I was just like, I wonder if anyone's won that, because I was obviously self-isolating, so I had to walk the dog ridiculously early in the morning so I wouldn't see anyone around.
Yeah.
And so I get up at 4:30 on the Wednesday morning, and I'm like, oh, let's see who's won. Oh.
And nothing's changed.
It's like, oh well, Trump was marginally in the lead at that point, but it was marginal. There wasn't many votes.
To be fair, Biden's only marginally winning still now.
Well,
it's still very close. See, this is what frustrates me is they claimed Arizona when it was 80%. It's on was it 90% or 99% now or something? But when they claimed it for Biden, they was like, Trump was in the lead, Trump was in the lead, Trump was in the lead. The second Biden got ahead, Biden's won Arizona. And it's like, dude, they still got 20% of their votes to go.
Yeah.
And he had when they claimed it, and up till recently, he had about a 40,000 lead, and he's down to 12,000 now. It's like, you may have claimed that a bit too quickly. If they do a recount, or if there's still enough votes, if all the votes come in and they're for Trump, he could win that state.
Isn't there still military votes
8,000
as well?
8,000.
And they tend to
most of them go
Republican at least, but hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think
a lot of the US military are people of color. They may not like Trump for that.
Trump got a lot of votes.
He did. He won Florida with the Cubans.
Yeah. He's. I think I read somewhere that he's got more votes from people of ethnicities than any Republican has in a very, very long time. And I think it was was it 1 in 4, 1 in 5 black people voted?
Something like that. And like I say, Florida was pretty much won by the Hispanic community for the Republicans.
Most Hispanics, I think, voted. I think he got more Hispanics than
Biden, maybe.
Yeah. So, considering he's branded a racist, he sure
got a lot of brown people votes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my argument with that would be is don't believe the media. Essentially, is he the nicest guy in the world? No.
Is he a bit of a twat?
I do think some of the states are going to swap sides. I don't think Biden's going to win by 290. I'm not going to lie to you. I think by the end of this, I think this is going to go on until January. I do think he's going to get in, but I think the votes are going to look a little bit more fair, a little bit down the middle. I think he's only going to win by a few electoral votes, because I think a few states will swap to Trump. They're still counting now, and there's very small margins between their Biden's lead. And some of the states, Trump was in the lead of some of those states for 4 days, and they've just swapped Biden, and then all of a sudden he got them because they're like, oh, well, there's only 1 or 2% votes left. That's still thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
That could be, either of them could swap, and if it's under 1%, they get a recount. So Michigan's getting a recount. They've already found votes for Trump in Michigan, so that could swap. They haven't found any for Biden. They found 6,000 for Trump. because of a clerical error. So I do think Biden's going to win. I think he's not far ahead, but 3 million. I think it's like 2 or 3 million.
Yeah.
That's hard to narrow down with the recount, and even with all the votes coming in, because they're not going to all fall Trump, are they? Some of them are going to fall.
That's
even
it.
if 80% of them fall Trump now, it still probably wouldn't be quite enough.
No.
So I do think he's going to get in, but I don't think he's going to get in as much of a defeat as he thought he was.
But I do want to see Donnie getting fucking like hanging onto the door frame of the office as someone's like they're carrying him out in jail. I'm not going anywhere. Like, come on, sir, you've got to go.
The worrying thing for Biden will be if this goes to the Supreme Courts.
Trump's just put the new judges in.
Not that. It'll be for the fact that the guy that's basically in charge of the Supreme Courts about 20 years ago, Biden tried to ruin his reputation.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah. And just throwing it out there, guy was pretty much proven innocent. He was basically accused of sexual misconduct with a woman that worked with him. Completely proved innocent. They couldn't prove anything. And Biden was like a freaking dog trying to get at a bone, trying to get this guy fired for some reason. I think it's because he was a Republican. But that guy's basically got all the clout in the Senate. So if he goes to the Supreme Court, Biden's going to be sweating a lot. And it's looking like it's going to, because the media is pushing really hard that there's no voter fraud and there's no evidence.
Pushing no evidence.
Yeah, no evidence. Yeah. There's a few instances of like public officials coming out and saying there is evidence. There's even a Democrat that's come out and said that there's voter fraud. So
who knows?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, who knows which way is going to go? I think Biden will end up being president.
I do agree with you, but I do think it's going to be a rocky start for him. But then again, I mean, look at George Bush and Al Gore.
Yeah.
I mean, Al Gore was meant to be the president. He was like president-elect for like 30 days.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they did like the recount, and it was George Bush that got in.
True enough.
So I think the margin was more narrow there. I think they were.
Well, there's always the big thing with Florida. It was Florida with Gore and Bush, and one of the things was that Bush's brother was the governor of Florida.
Yeah.
And it went for Gore, and then all of a sudden, oh no, actually, Fox is declaring it for Bush.
Yeah, I think it's
And then once Fox declared it, everyone else declared it, and then you get that hype. Oh, might as well stop counting now.
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania, isn't it, for Trump and Biden? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that really shocked me because Biden pretty much said that he was getting rid of the oil industry.
Yeah, well, you're not going to do it in 4 years.
No, you're not going to do it in 4 years. But the waves he could make a lot of people that work in Pennsylvania out of jobs.
Well, you can only hope that he puts those people straight after retraining. They go into this Green New Deal.
Hopefully, yeah. But that's going to cost the American government like $93 trillion.
It's going to cost everybody money, isn't it? Because it's going to have to happen at some point.
Yeah, it will. But I think it's one of those things where you have to do it slowly. You can't do it all at once. If you do it all at once,
it's over. You've got to come up to some agreement. Of
well, like right now,
every 4 years, this stays in. You can't get rid of this.
Yeah.
But you need to put this amount of money in.
Well, it's like right now they're like, oh well, we'll put money into wind. It's like wind is shit. You can't use wind.
I don't know. Your fucking dog's got some wind. I've been fucking gagging on that for the last 20 minutes.
She's farting in your direction.
She's farting in my general direction. She's done it twice now.
Yeah, so wind is shit. So solar's the best one, isn't it? Probably. Maybe hydro as well. Hydro is good. But the problem with solar is it's very expensive to make those panels. And a lot of time they just end up in a dump. Tons of natural resources.
Yeah.
So how are they good for the environment? I mean, they will be once we make them better. But they last like, what, 10, 15 years? And then we have to dump most of it.
Well, look at, your Tesla car, your battery-powered cars.
Yeah.
That nickel for the batteries is being mined out of some fucking mine by like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
That's then being shipped all across the world.
Yeah.
With a massive carbon footprint, where it's then put together into a battery. Then it's taken somewhere else and put into the car.
Yeah.
So the carbon footprint alone on your electric battery-powered car is
probably
horrific.
worse. Yeah, it's probably worse than the car.
It's worse than you driving around in a petrol car for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I do think that the oil company has something to do with why it's so expensive to make renewable energy, because it's in their best interest for it to be expensive.
Oil is not expensive though.
To make renewable energy expensive.
In this country, it's like £1.20 for a gallon of fuel.
Yeah.
Now, That seems a lot compared to what it used to be when I can remember it being like 70 pence. And that
Yeah,
was
with
just-
inflation and everything.
Yeah, it's all tax.
Yeah.
And you think that they're getting that out of a hole, refining it, and then shipping it across the globe, and they're selling it to me for £1.20 for a gallon.
Yeah.
That seems quite cheap to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. See, for as long as we have it, it is the cheapest option. And unfortunately, sad it is to say, and I am pro environment. You know, I am, because I do the recycling. I'm a real stickler for it. But until we get better, until science gets better, there isn't many options other than hydro and solar, and they're not great, to be fair. Hydro is good because it doesn't really damage the doesn't really have much waste, I guess. But I mean, what does it do to the oceans, to the fish? I don't know.
That's just the things that bob up and down, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
so
literally-
I don't think I think that one's probably your best bet. But solar, for them to mine all the minerals,
yeah.
I can't imagine. I'm sure I watched a video on it, and I'm sure it costs a ton, and it's actually, like you said, it's not that environmentally friendly when it's done with. So
the world's fucked, I think we can take away from this.
yeah. I do think we should do an electric one, because I think it's going to get messy over the next few weeks.
Yeah, we'll look into that then.
Yeah, and as more allegations and stuff come out about the fraud and more evidence and stuff, and
If there's any evidence.
it seems to be. There seems to be.
We'll see.
I mean, they sent in some. Who did they send in? I told you.
Did they
this
send
today.
a crack team of US mercenaries who'd
No, like
been like sent to a maximum military stockade for several years, and then they escaped and probably went on the run in the Los
No.
Angeles Underground?
no. Is it like the secret, the special something? I can't
The
remember.
Justice Department.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
The Flash, Cyborg. Send them in.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Well, that should get the problem solved.
but yeah, they've gone in to investigate, haven't they? So. And
Well, I wouldn't mess with Wonder Woman.
One woman's been arrested for fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she only got caught with like 126 ballots she'd been messing with. She got caught red-handed. But it was like Texas. Why would you cheat in Texas? It's a Republican state. They're gonna have their eyes on you like all the time. But yeah, I think things will change. I think it will probably go to the Supreme Court. I think it is going to get messy. I think Biden will still probably get in though, but they're not. You're not voting for Biden. You're voting for the Democrats. He'll be out in a year.
You won't stay in.
Yeah.
Give him 2 years, Kamala Harris will be in. And I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think what we can take away from this podcast is the world is fucked.
And don't be a dick. Remember,
Don't be a dick.
never be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
I've been Ben. Thanks for listening. Don't drink the Flavor Aid. Don't join a cult, and listen to Cutting to the Ball in the post-truth apocalypse if you get a chance.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Not as good as us, but they're pretty good.
They're all right.
Yeah, I mean, you're in it, so
I'm in it, so it's good.
brings the quality down a little bit.
What do you mean? Christ? I am literally the founding light.
See, when Mike listens to this, he'll get it. He'll be like, "Yeah, I get it, Sean. We're both carrying the teams. Just keep passing Ben around to try and get rid of him. Neither of us can get rid of him." I'm like, "Mike, you take him this week." Mike's like, "Oh, do I have to? Can't you have him?" No, I did a podcast with him. Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm the fucking star.
The star
I'm
of
a
the show.
5-star man, damn it.
In a 3-star world.
In a 3-star world, I'm a 5-star man, damn it.
But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Love me.